board on this committee. And so again, welcome to all of our chaplains who are with us this evening. We really appreciate your interest in the opportunities to serve our communities and our nation. This evening, we're going to be listening about the opportunity to serve our total force partner, our parent service, actually the Air Force, as on an Air Force assigned mission to one of, right now, there are 18 detachments who have asked for a CAP chaplain to support them. So we are just very, very, very fortunate to have with us I'm going to actually introduce the chaplain for the Holm Center for Citizen, I'll let him explain. It's engaged in citizen grooming, and that's Chaplain Kraig Smith, who actually not only has Air Force chaplain credentials, but is also a CAP chaplain in the Alabama wing. Chaplain Smith, if you would let us see you, sir, and thank you so very much. And why don't you give us the title of the Holm Center and your title as a chaplain, and please introduce our very special guest tonight, please.
You got it. Yes, sir. Thanks, Chaplain Miner. Hey, good afternoon. I'm super excited about the possibilities of doing this. My name is Kraig Smith, and I am the chaplain for the Holm Center. Colonel Bennett's gonna get me on this. The Janine Holm Center for Officer Sessions and Citizen Development. And the Officer Sessions part comes, of course, through ROTC, as well as Officer Training School, OTS. ROTC is within our colleges, where we bring students in and bring them into, many of them had the opportunity to come into the Air Force that way. And then OTS is for those who didn't come in any other route. Some they come through the academy, like Colonel Bennett did. Some come through ROTC, and then some, like myself and all chaplains, are able to come in straight off the street, so to speak, come to OTS, Officer Training School, learn to be an officer in 8 whole weeks, and then go from there. The citizen development part of the Holm Center is for junior ROTC, which is in our high schools, and feeds, I believe, about 3 to 4% into our actual military, or maybe a little bit more. So that's me, Kraig Smith. I am a Civil Air Patrol chaplain, and as well have been actually longer than I've been an Air Force chaplain. I was telling Colonel Bennett, our Air Force ROTC commander here at the Holm Center, who's also on screen, about this meeting, and he was excited about coming on and just having a few words to say to y'all. So, Colonel Bennett, the floor is yours, sir.
Hey, thank you, Chaplain Smith, Chaplain Miner. I think Chaplain Murdoch is on as well. So first off, let me say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for just a few minutes of time tonight. And I'll just offer a couple of comments, and I know Chaplain Smith is then going to go into the PowerPoint educational type of content of this, but if you'll indulge me for just a second. As Chaplain Smith said, I'm an Air Force Academy graduate, 28 years and a little bit more ago, and I spent my career in the Air Force, flying airplanes and doing our country's business. In the past 4 years, I've been fortunate to be in Air Force Reserve Officer Training Corps. I spent 2 years at Texas A&M University, Gigamaggies, in College Station, Texas, as the detachment commander. And then the Holm Center commander asked me to come here to Maxwell and command Air Force ROTC. So I've been doing that for about 2 years. I'll just lay a little foundation, and I know Chaplain Smith will dive a little bit deeper. But generally, our footprint is about 15,000 college students. We like to call them cadets as well. And I can connect with them. I have 2 kids in college of my own and 2 still at home. And all of you can probably imagine, maybe you have your own kids that have or are going through that college experience. And we all know just what a transition and what a difficult period and a time of life it can be for many of these young men and women. And just interestingly, about a week ago, I was listening to a podcast, as I'm apt to do when I go out running, and it talked about reaching and recruiting young men and women coming out of high school, going into that college, that late teenage, early adult years, and they're asking themselves 3 questions. where do I fit in? What's my identity and what is my purpose? And part of our job in ROTC, as we try to recruit and get these men and women to raise their hands and join the United States Air Force or the United States Space Force, is to help them answer those questions as we're going through that growth and development phase. As cadre, as military officers, as their instructors, their evaluators, their assessors, there are times and places where through those discussions we have with our cadets, either we exceed our counseling capabilities, or as is often the case, the cadets know that we are not always a place of where they're completely free to speak. And I'm not saying that they're trying to be evasive or hide from us, but as you know, as chaplains, the benefits that you can bring can be very helpful to cadets going through that tough period in their life. So let me just lay out one brief story, maybe that kind of drives it home. And really, I think where you all can partner with detachments close to your hometowns, close to your Civil Air Patrol units, because we're spread across 47 states, 145 different detachments. So there's probably one close by to you wherever you sit and reside. So when I got to Texas A&M in the summer of 2017, the rising senior class began to tell me about one of their own that the previous February was killed in an automobile accident. And there was a lot of perspectives or thoughts that it might have been an intentional death. Never proved, but that's kind of irrelevant. The fact of the matter is, this is one of their classmates that marched through 3 years of being in the Corps Cadets at Texas A&M University, doing ROTC, one of the wingmen, one of their fellow airmen, right? And so when it gets to about February of 2018 now, approaching the 1-year anniversary of that cadet's death, I was getting a lot of feedback or insights from the cadets and other cadre that was going to be an emotional day, a very difficult day for all those seniors. And this is about 60 men and women that are in the senior class that made it through that far, that we're going to commission in the next few months. And so I took it upon myself to reach out to a good friend of mine named Chaplain Randy Sellers, who had been our wing chaplain at Little Rock Air Force Base a year or two earlier and was now stationed down in San Antonio. And I called him up and said, Randy, I need you to come do some of that chaplaincy work and come spend a day with our cadets. And naturally, he said, Roger, sir, on it, inbound. And he came up and spent that day. And certainly, first and foremost, the counseling services, the ability he had to help cadets grieve a year after their friend's death cannot be understated. So that was his first and most beneficial aspect of that day where he came to our college to help them. But secondly, and almost equally important, as he showcased to those cadets, those soon-to-be officers, what the Chaplains Corps provides to airmen, to their families, to their friends, to their community. And I couldn't have scripted it as well as Randy laid it out and made it happen. As these cadets became lieutenants and joined the best Air Force, just Air Force at the time in the world, they now knew that there was a powerful and useful tool for themselves and for the airmen that they were going to lead. And those are the wing chaplains that reside all across the United States Air Force. And so it was very fortuitous when Chaplain Smith reached out to me some time ago and said, I really want to help support all these detachments, but he's an army of one in many cases, and he knows that it's hard for him. It's almost impossible for him to get out there and provide the services that our cadets and our cadre need each and every day. And so we said, hey, what about partnering with the Civil Air Patrol? We've got chaplains who are well trained to do this every single day, and they're willing volunteers. Can we build a partnership? And I said, absolutely. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to Chaplain Minor. Thanks to Chaplain Murdoch. And thanks mostly to Chaplain Smith for setting up this arrangement. I will tell you, I'm often fond of saying, let's run with scissors. Please, that's a metaphor. That's not real, but it also encourages us to be bold and be innovative. At the end of the day, even more than being an Air Force officer, I'm a human being. You all are human beings. And when human beings have human being challenges and problems, the best thing we can do is get them in contact with another human being who can help navigate through those difficult times in their lives. And that's all of you men and women out there. So I want to say thank you to all of you. Thanks to Chaplain Smith. And I guess I'll pause for any quick questions you might have. And if you don't have any, then I'll defer to Chaplain Minor and Chaplain Smith for the rest of our schedule tonight. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Colonel. Colonel Bennett, it is just an extreme honor to have you with us this evening. Our Chief of Chaplains is on board now, Chaplain John Murdoch, and I'll invite him to say a few words as well. Chaplain Murdoch, if you'd care to come on, sir.
Thank you. Good to be with everyone tonight. Colonel Bennett, Chaplain Smith, it's just good to see your faces and be able to put names and faces together. I was at National Headquarters just last month and was hoping I could get to meet you personally. We were not able to connect, and I'm sorry that that happened. But next time I get a chance to get down that way, I'll look you up and be able to spend some time together. I look forward to doing that. I'm excited about this opportunity. As we talked with Chaplain Smith and with Chaplain Minor trying to pull all of this together, I said, yeah, let's put a green light on this and make it happen as quickly as possible. Because I appreciate what you had to say, sir, about how your chaplain was able to come in and help at a very serious time of need for your classmates. That's one of the blessings that we are able to do. I tell our folk that we get to intersect lives with truth at points of greatest need. And what an opportunity that is to be able to touch a life and make a difference. And the folk that are interested in this program have the ability to do just that. And so as we move forward, we want to not only cover the current number of units that you have that are looking for a chaplain's response, but we hope to be able to do even a greater number. But as with any program, as it gets started, we got to build the enthusiasm and get the interest going. But we have a good core and a good foundation to work with. And I am committed to seeing this become a full-fledged part of our chaplaincy ministry. So it's exciting for me to be able to help get this started and to join hands with you and to do our very best to impact the leaders of tomorrow with regard to their college education days. And what a thrill to be able to do this and to help you. And so thank you for giving us the privilege of being able to do it. And to our personnel who are on this call, thank you for standing up and being willing to participate. I'm proud to be your chief. I'm thrilled that you are willing to participate. I look forward to helping us achieve our goals and be successful with this mission. So thank you so much. Turn it back to you, Chaplain Minor. Thank you for the opportunity. And gentlemen, again, thank you for your allowing us the privilege of stepping into your world and assisting you with your mission.
Very good. Thank you so much, Chaplain Murdoch. Colonel Bennett, again, we won't take your time. And if there are any additional questions, we know how to reach you through Chaplain Smith. And it's always great to see someone who's fast need average. So with that in mind, sir, you have a very blessed day. And again, we'll turn the microphone with your permission over to your wing chaplain. And Chaplain Smith, sir, the microphone is yours. Why don't you tell us all about the program that we have the opportunity to serve now, sir? And apparently I may have muted you if you are not on your own computer. If you're on a cell phone, I may have inadvertently muted
There we
you.
go. All right.
All right, very good.
Right.
Thank you.
No, thanks for having me, Chaplain Minor, Chaplain Murdoch. I appreciate the partnership. Colonel Bennett had to skip out. He had some family duty. But I appreciate him as well. He is about as supportive as they get. And we will have, he's fully behind everything we are trying to do. All right, I am going to attempt to share screen. So if you will, I'm Chaplain Minor, could you allow me to share screen, sir?
And you have the stick, as we say in the aviation
Beautiful.
world.
All right, let's see if I can share this and do this right. Come on, do it. There it goes. All right, excellent. 51, I'm still have trouble with all this stuff. Hey, again, thank y'all very much for your willingness to partner with this. I am super excited about doing this. I got here in August of last year, and as Colonel Bennett said, I quickly realized that one chaplain for 145 detachments across 47 states and Puerto Rico is that they didn't give me a jet. I don't have transportation, so on and so forth. There's only one of me. And so I was immediately ready to call in reinforcements on a few things I had to get out of the way and what have you. But Colonel Bennett's been extremely supportive of it. Chaplain Murdoch's been extremely supportive of it. Of the whole idea of putting some boots on the ground. And the number one resource, I'm going to say, the number one request that I get from detachment commanders is help us, Chaplain Smith, to find some local resources. And so that's exactly what we're doing. We have 18 detachments who are asking. I fully suspect as this program gets up and running, we will have more. So CAP chaplain training, or how can we help with ROTC? This is what I'll go over: who I am, who we are, where we are, concerns with the cadre and the cadets, experiences, expectations, and then any questions that I might get answer for you. And if I can't, I will get back to you with an answer. So this is me. Feel free to jot this down, take a screenshot. I can send this to Chaplain Minor and he can send it out. I carry a cell phone with me pretty much all the time, specifically for cadets and cadre to call me from all over the country, and they do. As Air Force chaplains and as Civil Air Patrol chaplains, you would have the same benefits of 100% confidential counseling. Religious accommodation requests are going to come to me, but commander advisement, suicide prevention, spiritual care, all those normal chaplain things is what I attempt to provide to our 145 ROTC detachments. I am in charge of a team here. Chaplain Johnson is active duty. He is our officer training school unit chaplain, but he is also going to get out and about and help with some of the ROTC stuff. And Chaplain Douglas is our reservist, who is for my position, and he also helps a lot with OTS. But if you ever call and get one of these two fine gentlemen, they're more than happy to help you out. All right, I wanted to give you just a brief overview of what the Gene M. Holm Center is. We deal with officer accessions. And in other words, how is it that someone who wants to be in the United States Air Force becomes an officer in the United States Air Force? And we cover about 75% of all officers through AFROTC, 15,000 cadets, 4-year programs at 1,200 schools, 900 cadre. We have one headquarter here. You see, we have 145 detachments. And of the 75% of accessions that we take care of through the Holm Center, ROTC deals with about 45% of those. So they have a pretty arduous 4 years of training. Year 1 and year 2. Between year 2 and year 3, they're supposed to go to field training. We just did that in Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Paradise, I'm telling you, it's beautiful there. And after that, if they make it through all of that, then they can be given the opportunity to become an Air Force officer. They're given an allotment to do that, and then they figure out if they're going to be rated or non-rated, and they are most likely going to come in as second lieutenants. Our maintainers and our pilots and our cyber guys and our intel guys and all of that, we have about 45% of those kinds of officers come out of ROTC. The second one that we have here in the Holm Center is the Officer Training School. And again, it is what chaplains come through. It's what JAG generally comes through. It's what our medical personnel comes through. We bring in active duty, Air National Guard, and the reserves. They're the shock absorber for growing or reducing forces. Right now, we kind of need to reduce some forces because we are at the end strength of our manning. But nearly 100% Air National Guard and Air Force Reserve, non-line, again, chaplains, medical, and legal, and then about 32% of the line. So again, about roughly 77% of all line officers. If you don't know what those are non-chaplains, non-medical, and non-legal. Everybody else is a line officer. There's a reason they call them lines. You can Wikipedia that, and they'll tell you that. And then the citizen development part, again, is our junior ROTC, 870 units worldwide, 120,000 cadets, 1,900 plus instructors. All the instructors are retired military, and they are a colonel or below. I believe if you're not allowed to be a general officer or maybe even a chief to do junior ROTC. All of the ROTC cadre, or the majority of them, are active duty officers who are spending 2 years with their detachment and teaching cadets. All right. So any questions right now? I don't want to go too fast, and I forget sometimes that I'm speaking a lot of military jargon that you may or may not be familiar with. So I'll stop right there before we get in ROTC in particular and see if there's any questions that you have for me.
You can either type your questions in the chat room, or I think we have enough time that if you can just unmute and ask your question, please. Captain Smith, I guess not. Press ahead,
right.
Please.
Yes, sir. So Air Force ROTC in itself, their mission is to develop leaders of character for tomorrow's Air Force and Space Force. They are the oldest and largest active duty line commissioning source. So you've got 3 altogether, right? You have the Academy, you have OTS, and you have ROTC. 145 detachments, 1,200 plus crosstown universities. Now, what that means is we have a detachment at one university. Other universities are interested in having a detachment, and so their cadets then come over to that one university. It gets a little strange. For instance, the crosstown detachment in Colorado Springs actually is, the detachment itself is up at Boulder, Colorado. And so those cadets often have to drive all the way up to Boulder to participate in ROTC. We've got some others that are like that as well. And then in Atlanta, for instance, we have several that are crosstown with Georgia State University. In 47 states, DC and Puerto Rico, you see the 3 we're not in. And they develop exceptional leaders through academic education, all 4 years. Professional military field training, which they do between their 2nd and 3rd year, and professional development programs. A pretty extensive program, 145 small teams spread across the country and Puerto Rico. And this is a picture of that. 4 regions, 145 detachments. You see that the Southwest region down at your lower left and the South and the Northeast region both have the most crosstowns, and they spread quite a lot. So through quite a lot. So you can understand, or it's a little more visual about why it is that Kraig Smith cannot get to all 145 detachments, and why we're asking you guys to come alongside and help as and if you are able. All right, some of the concerns they have. Again, detachment commanders, det commanders, and region commanders have asked me specifically to help them find local resources for their detachments. Here's what happens. Most detachments are made up of 1 commander, 2 cadre members, who's a major or a captain, and then 2 NCOs, or non-commissioned officers, staff sergeants and tech sergeants, mostly. And they take these 5 people and they pull them out of the Air Force, and they send them to any of those 145 detachments, right? So every place from Alabama State University, which is right here next to Maxwell Air Force Base, easy cheesy, to my favorite one is MTI, Michigan Technological University. Here's Michigan, here's the UP, and MTI is way up here. If they have to go to a military base for any kind of service, the closest one to them is Grand Forks, North Dakota, which is a good 9, 10, 11, 12-hour drive. So we've taken these small teams, isolated them from their Air Force family, and put them out in some of them are very isolated spots. It was really brought home to me this last, I was talking to one of the cadre over the summer, and she's actually at MTI in Michigan. And she's a young single female, she's an officer, but her social pool is very small because Houghton, Michigan is a very small place. She can't date any of the cadets or hang out with the cadets, really. She has to be careful hanging out with anybody in the town because they can be friends with the cadets. And so if they're in a small isolated spot, then their social pool really shrinks down. Other concerns they have, Miami is about a $6,000 setup fee, if you will, to find a place to live and pay the down payment and so on and so forth. It's just very expensive. As you can imagine, New York City is. We have one in Manhattan, and Howard University with DC is going to be very expensive. San Francisco is going to be very expensive. And so the Air Force doesn't always adjust pay for these cadre members who are coming. Too often they're all work and no play. They're just go, go, go. For instance, went all year, school year, got done in May. Many of them went to field training, 77 days in Camp Shelby, at about 2 weeks in between, 77 days. They have 2 weeks, maybe a month in between the end of field training and the beginning of school. And then they're going for another year through that. So they are definitely all work and no play. They forget to maintain self-care, postvention. If you know what that is, you have prevention, suicide intervention, and suicide postvention. And that is helping them remember to stop, take a breath, grieve as they deal with suicides, and be able to take care of themselves as a cadre afterwards. So that's the cadre, and that's just real quick, the concerns that they have. Our cadets, on the other hand, also have a lot of concerns. And coming out of COVID, we've all done COVID, the cadre and cadets have had a lot of concerns about them. But here's the ones I've seen over the last year. We had about 4 suicides and 5 or 6 deaths over the last academic year. One school had 2 suicides. Being college students, you probably remember being a college student and not having any idea what else you were going to do in life. If you're like me, you had no idea what you were going to do in life, but if you had a plan, you had one plan, and that was the way it was going to go. So many of these cadets come in and they have their plan, their dream in life is to get into the United States Air Force. And then something happens. They fail out, or they don't pass their physical fitness, or something gets broken, or they have a health issue, or they decide it's just not for them, or, life happens. And these cadets have zero plan for what to do when their dreams fail. And that can be really rough. This last year, you may have read in the newspaper, ROTC has had to go back and say, we have too many people in the Air Force. We can't take as many cadets as we thought we were going to be able to. We're going to have to cut some of y'all loose. So what do you do when your dreams come crashing down? What I tell them is you got to have a plan. You got to have an alternate landing site to put that airplane down. And you need to be thinking about that. They're not usually. A lot of them, it's their first time away, and so they have mismatched expectations. They're learning to make their own decisions. They're managing their own time. They're having relationship problems. They're learning to juggle relationships and jobs and school and so on and so forth. College can be a mess. And so that's some of the concerns they have. And then, of course, they have religious accommodation requests. Really, those get sent to me. I'm sure that if you are working with a detachment, you will have to deal with some of those. But the quick answer is send them to Chaplain Smith. All right, I saw one chat. Chaplain Minor, do we need to stop there?
No, continue on. That's fine.
Okay. All right. All right. So oops, go back. Here's a fun thing. Here's some of the things I've had. Again, I've been here just over a year. At 11 o'clock at night, one night on a Thursday night, I get a call. And it's a young 17-year-old, 18-year-old who's at a particular school. Chaplain Smith, yes. You know, we just had a death in our detachment, right? Yes. Well, do we have to go to PT tomorrow? Girl, it's 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, you got to go to PT tomorrow. Why wouldn't you go to PT? Well, the Army detachment's not going to PT. So I was just wondering if we are. Man, there's absolutely nothing I can do. Yes, you have to go to PT tomorrow. From that to, I have a cadet who's interested in chaplaincy. Is there a way to go from ROTC straight into the chaplain corps? We send those over to the recruiting squadron. I'm really depressed, but I'm afraid of going to mental health. There is a lot of stigma about going to mental health. If they are diagnosed with anything or given medicine for anything, then it is very possible that they get taken out of ROTC and out of the program. And so they're very afraid of that. And that's where we come in, right? 100% confidential, can't report anything to anybody. They can come talk to us and it doesn't affect their career. I had a commander call me and say, Chaplain, my cadet is just feeling off. Will you talk to him? Absolutely, sir, ma'am. Be happy to do that. Or my cadet is just off, or my cadet's not doing very well. Or a lot of times they don't realize that they don't pay attention enough that to realize that their cadets are doing poorly, and by the time they come to me, it's almost too late. But still, chaplain, how do I connect with the church? I'm in a brand new place, or it's COVID. I haven't really been able to connect with anyone, or this is a whole new experience with me. How do I connect and make friends? How do I connect with churches? How do I do that kind of stuff? And chaplain, I'm just having a rough time fitting in. Can you tell me what to do to kind of fit in better? I even had a guy call me, Chaplain Smith. I said, yes, sir. He said, I am on my way to deal with a friend who has expressed suicide ideations. Can you kind of walk me through how to talk to him? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sure. And so we did that. He got to his friend and they talked it out. And as far as I know, life goes on and he's doing better. But those are some of the experiences you would have or could have as you're working with the cadets. Bottom line, here's kind of what I would expect if you were going to connect with an ROTC, your local ROTC detachment. You go up to the commander and you say, I am Chaplain so-and-so, and I am here to give some of my time for you and your cadets. This is what I can offer. Ministry presence, boots on the ground, maybe some regularly scheduled visitation. Once a month, once every other month, it's up to you, right? Just as long as it's regularly scheduled. Be a confidant. I have skills in counseling. I have skills in religious accommodation, so on and so forth. One of the things that commanders tell me about that is really hard for them is up at the top there, the next of kin notifications. The way the military works is if we have a military member die and they are from Podunk, Illinois, just picking a state, no offense to Illinois, and there is no military base close, they call the nearest military officer to go deliver the news to that family. It is no longer a must that chaplains go with them, but man, they really like it when we can. There's no time to call me and ask me to come to Podunk wherever. So a lot of times they end up just having to go. If they were able to call you and say, Chaplain so-and-so, I've got a next of kin notification. I've got to deliver 2 hours away. Would you be willing to go with me? You say yes, you don't deliver the news. I know we do that training. You would be in blues. But you are there, you would be there then to provide support to the commander, many of whom have never done this, and to provide support to the family. It's really kind of in our wheelhouse, right? Because we are pastors first and foremost. So if you would be willing to do that, you would tell the commander, hey, if a next kin notification comes, here's my number, feel free to call me. If I can go with you, I will. And they would really appreciate that. Again, ministry of presence, as you're able to be boots on the ground, as you're able to do visitation, as you're able to do personal counseling with the cadets and with the cadre, be a confidant, your skills, confidentiality, a place to vent, and very importantly, that you stay connected with me. We can do that a couple of ways. Chaplain Miner and Chaplain Murdoch are kind of working that out as well. But at the very least, if you can let me know how much visitation you've done, how much counseling you've done, so on and so forth, so that then I can pass that up to Colonel Bennett and show him, sir, this is what the program is doing. This is how your detachment commanders are being helped, and we can continue this partnership. All right, Chaplain Miner, I think that is all that I have for that.
Very good. All right. Again, the chat room, or we can open it up. Just to let everyone know that this recording and this session is actually one of the 4 mini courses that are the next part of the auxiliary chaplain course, which will be part of the 24 hours that we're going to require ultimately for the auxiliary chaplain course through the CAP Chaplain Corps College. So you're actually in one of those mini courses right now. And the other components to that we are designing for those who are volunteering, we would like you to go through at least 1 or 2 hours talking with some of our highly qualified CAP chaplains in counseling. And we're designing a program on counseling for college students. And these are CAP chaplains, and we'll certainly get Chaplain Smith involved in curriculum development here to help us create a counseling situation, or at least scenarios, just like he had specifically mentioned. That'll be one component. We originally thought we were going to do this in CAP 5 years ago, and there were going to be 5 or 6 of us picked out to go to local ROTC detachments to pioneer this kind of a program. The new commander of the Holm Center, when she entered, shut that program down, but there were a few of us who were already in discussions. Now, I was going to be one of those people and at the University of Virginia, and I already knew and had talked to the commander down there, and that commander said that the hardest thing for him and what he really needed me to do is, at that time, talk to cadets who were questioning their gender identity. We're going to have to learn in the active Air Force that there is a policy about a gender policy and how that fits in. And you are going to have to learn what that policy is if you're going to deal in anything in the active duty world in terms of an Air Force assigned mission and an ROTC. And it's going to be important for you to look at what your own endorsers say about that and make sure you're aware of what your limitations are and what you can provide to these human beings who are in a questioning crisis state of their own life. And that is a very real situation just based on my own personal experience. So we have several youth counselors that are actually creating a mini course on helping you to know what your endorsers are going to ask of you in this kind of an arena as well. So these are the kinds of things that are being prepared if you step up to volunteer to be part of this program. You don't have to have all these courses right away. We're going to vet you, put you on an Air Force assigned mission, and ask you once a month to start taking these courses, and we're going to build you up to 24 hours worth of credit, the full auxiliary course. So that is really what we want to do to help you prepare yourself if you have any questions about serving. Chaplain Nelson, you're on board, and I see you. Do you have a question, sir?
A couple questions, sir. I live in San Diego, and San Diego State currently is using local pastors. I had a friend who was the commander and has since retired, and they have a new one. My question then would be, what is the status of a waivered chaplain? Are they able to help? And the second question, I live right next door to San Marcos High School, which has a junior ROTC. What would be the status of working with a high school and a junior ROTC as a waiver chaplain?
I will just answer Chaplain Nelson for the junior ROTC that we've not addressed. So this is what we're talking about here is ROTC, right? And I know you know that. For junior ROTC, that's going to kind of depend on the school as well. And I would suggest that you feel free to go and talk to the commander at the junior ROTC detachment and see if he would be willing to have you come on board. And then waiver chaplain is that you don't, I'm not trying to offend you, but you don't have your seminary degree yet. Is that correct?
I have 48 units as a master of theology, and at my age, that's probably as far as I'm going to go.
Right.
And but I have risen to the region chaplain as a waiver chaplain. So
I don't. So Chaplain Minor, I believe that's something we are continuing to discuss still. The Air Force has pretty much said, well, we're continuing to discuss that. How's that?
absolutely.
But that's a good question. Something we definitely need to work on.
We do have initial words from Chaplain Scheich, but that was 2 years ago. And of course, tomorrow Chaplain Scheich retires, and we don't know yet who the new chief of chaplains for the Air Force and Space Force are. So I think that we will be continuing to work Chaplain Murdoch and Chaplain Murdoch's successor and his staff or her staff, whoever is chosen, since we don't know yet, even on our own end, who is going to move forward. That will be one of the important things that we're going to have to lock down in writing. We do have things written into the draft of 80-1, but we will need to make sure that we do have the concurrence of the Chief of Chaplains of the Air Force and Space Force to press on from there. So that is a question still to be decided right now. Thank you.
Chaplain Minor,
Sir,
if I may.
please go for it, sir.
We are training everybody, because what we're looking at is the requesting agency will set down the parameters as to whether they will use waiver chaplains or not, and whether they will use chaplains who can meet the uniform requirement to wear the service dress uniform versus the corporate uniform. So we are training all of the chaplains so that they will be trained, and then the agency requesting will tell us the parameters of the chaplain they would like to use. So right now, get the training, and we will work through these other questions with the new Chief of Chaplains from the Air Force as we are able to do so.
Great point, sir.
And I am not able to turn on my video because it was turned off at your end. But
okay.
they don't need to see my face anymore anyway.
All right. Well,
So,
what other
other questions?
What other questions do we have? Anybody else? Chaplain Nelson?
There, unmute myself.
Actually, I did have a question. This is Chaplain Barlow. I wanted to ask Chaplain Smith. I wasn't sure if I heard that clearly about the call you had from a student in regard to another student who is having suicide ideation. Did you go with that student or to the other student, or did you just kind of back him up and make yourself available to him in case he needed you, or did you both go to that student?
Right. Good question. He was he was, I believe, in Texas and I'm in Alabama. So I went with him in spirit and on the phone
I got you.
is
I
what we
understand.
did. Yeah. So
Thank you.
I was able to go with him on the phone and we talked it through and then he hung up and went and called and then called me again about something. And that's the last I heard because it turned out okay.
Very
Did
good.
you actually talk to the suicidal student yourself
not.
on the phone?
He was
Okay.
not willing to talk to me later on. And again, this particular cadet was just on his way to go find this student.
Right. Thank you.
No, yeah, absolutely. But again, I mean, imagine if he'd been able to call his Civil Air Patrol chaplain and say, hey, would you like to go with me? Or at least can you give me a call and you guys could have met up sooner. Again, that's an advantage of having you boots on the ground.
That's right.
So Chaplain Jerry, if I can answer your question, sir, are we going to reach out to the units that are not on board or waiting for them to come to us? Yeah, it's a good question. What I have done is I sent something out to all of the detachments, and I'll probably do it again. Or I may I don't know. I guess we're still waiting, but I sent out a message to all of them and said, hey, would you guys be interested in this? And I got 18 back that said they would be. Again, my suspicion is that as good as y'all are, the commanders are going to start talking amongst themselves and chitter chatting this, that, and other thing. And soon I'm going to get bombarded with a lot of requests about Civil Air Patrol chaplains assisting with our ROTC detachments. I would ask that if you are contacted, that you would kind of reach out to me and let me know so we can work it that way. Just because I am the Holm Center chaplain and all these ROTC detachments are technically my responsibility. And so I like to make sure I know who's where and who's what, and that way everybody's on the same page.
Chaplain Smith, our regulations specifically give the chief of chaplains the final authority as to who does what missions. So we do not self-deploy. While we might ask, the ultimate authority for who gets assigned to that unit would be the chief of chaplains for the Civil Air Patrol. And so especially when we have a number of chaplains located in a conglomerate of universities or near one university, it would not be good for multiple CAP chaplains to try to be making contact. We would ask our chaplains to hold back and go through you and perhaps say that they're willing to volunteer and let you be the emissary for them and poke the detachment commander. And again, the ultimate assignment will come from the chief of chaplains as the final authority. All right. Chaplain Nelson, sir, you have a question?
Yes. If you sign up and you become the ROTC chaplain, what about field training? Are you required to go to the field training for 77 days in the summer, or how does that work?
Sir, no. That is active duty, or it is reserve, or it is guard who goes to that. So no, the short answer is that you are simply signing up to ask or to assist the det commander right there in your local area. And Lord willing, we're not going to ask anything else of you. That might well be enough. But field training and those kinds of things will all be on us.
Very good. Any other questions?
I think it's, if I may, please, Chaplain
Sure.
Minor.
Sure.
Chaplain Smith, you mentioned the Form 34. Are you looking at our reporting system, or you have a reporting system that you would like us to use with regard to getting information back to you?
I think, I don't know.
That's all right.
We would, I mean, the Air Force Chaplain Corps has our own AFCARS, Air Force, something reporting system. And I don't know that we need to be on that, but if there is just a way that the chaplains can send me the monthly stuff, I can input it in in whatever our Air Force one is and kind of keep those up. But I am open to other good ideas.
Very good.
Yeah, I think what we should do, we have our own reporting system and our cap cars, but I think each chaplain, if you're going to go ahead and put that in the cap cars, but keep a separate log of what you do if you come to this type of a responsibility, keep a separate log so you can send that specific information on to Chaplain Smith, and we will develop a reporting tool for that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I say this all the time. When you do the reporting, it's not the time to be humble. Sing your song, tell your story. Don't get evangelistic on me and augment numbers, but tell us the truth about what you're doing so that we can give Colonel Bennett a good representation so that he sees that this program is worth his investment, and so that we can justify the continuation of this wonderful opportunity. So tell us the story, and but don't embellish, but give us everything that we need to make a good report for us and for them as well.
One other thing, I did mention 4 courses will be coming quickly to those who are interested in this program, this being one of them. I didn't mention the 4th one, and that is we will be giving through the CAP Chaplain Corps College sexual assault training, how to respond to a sexual assault.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, it is a possibility with young people and away from home, and we just want you to be prepared. The active duty chaplains get sexual assault training. Chaplain Smith, you can tell us, you reminded me just how much training you continue to get in sexual assault. But if you're going to be dealing with the...
Yeah, Chaplain Minor, I thank you for bringing that up. I think it's 1 in 4, out of every 4 females has been sexually assaulted in some way. And it was just kind of really brought home to me this last week that actually I talked to a cadet who was having trouble, and part of the trouble stemmed from, not from ROTC and not from college, but from sexual assault she had experienced as a teenager in high school or in home. I mean, they're bringing all that garbage from their home life into college, of course, and into ROTC, and suddenly they're out of that system and into a new system, and they don't know how to deal with all the junk from their past. I see it with active duty, I see it with cadets, I see it with everybody. My new terminology is your chickens are going to come home to roost at some point in time. You need to put them away and take care of them. And that sexual assault is a huge deal for our females. Yes, sir.
Very good. So those are the 4 courses that we have lined up for you within the next several months after you sign up. We have a question: what is your next step? If you're interested in it and you are located near one of those 18, and I can resend you that list, contact me if you don't have that list. And if you are interested in applying for one of those 18 positions, please let me know and we will start the process going. We do already have some of the ROTC detachments already are being spoken for. That doesn't mean that the decision is final, because I want everybody to have the opportunity. So if you just tell us what you're interested in, what university is located near you, and the closer you are and the greater ministry of presence you can offer this program, the better it is for them, for their cadets, and it is for us in our relationship with the Holm Center. So please contact me.
Oh,
Sure.
sorry.
No, go ahead, sir.
If I may be stepping out of line. So if I am, I apologize. You can go to afrotc.com and you can look up the detachment finder, and they'll tell you what schools, where the schools are, so on and so forth, all over the country. I haven't seen your list of 18. Obviously, I sent you that list, right? But I would offer that if you are close to a detachment that's not on that list, If it's all right with you, feel free to reach out to me and I will reach out to the commander. Because here's what has happened already is I sent out a couple of messages and I got responses, but I'm still talking to commanders who are like, no, I don't know anything about this. Really, but that's the way communication happens, or doesn't happen, as it may be. So I would be open if you are close to a detachment that's not on that list and you're interested in helping. Shoot me an email and I will connect with that commander and see if he is interested in having a Civil Air Patrol chaplain.
Very good. Well, sir, I'll ask you to put your email contact in the chat room then for our people.
Absolutely.
So that they make sure that they have it for you as well. So again, and if you do reach out to Chaplain Smith, let me know. And again, we want to sign up everyone and begin that next 4-course mini course. Actually, they're micro courses for as part of our next phase of our auxiliary course to begin to prepare you for this program. So,
if I may, one more thing, please.
Please.
A number of years ago, I was contacted by the commander for the detachment at Purdue because they needed to do a death notification. They didn't have a active duty officer or anybody close by at that time for whatever reason, I don't know. But they reached out to him and somehow he got my name. And I was called, and so unfortunately, when he called, I was out of town and not available to help him. But I was able to give him the name of someone else who could help him. And they really are appreciative of having one of us if we are available, because it's probably the most difficult thing that any commander has to do is make a death notification. And especially if you haven't had to do it. And so if you're available, even if you're just available on standby for helping with death notifications, they will be very, very appreciative. And so please, as you evaluate, as you get trained, please feel free to make yourself available.
And if I may, thank you, Chaplain Murdoch. Ladies and gentlemen, he's absolutely right. They'll take what they can get. You're all volunteers, right? We're not, your reward is in heaven. So we know that. And it can be very easy to get caught up in everything that's going on. So I would certainly advise you, as you do connect, put some boundaries as to what your ministry is. You're a Civil Air Patrol chaplain, you've all got squadrons and what have you. You've got family, you've got churches, so on and so forth. ROTC can suck you up pretty quickly. So please do put boundaries there and gently and respectfully, and don't burn yourself out, and absolutely say, hey, all I can do is next to kin notifications. If those come up, fine. Call me for those certain things right there. Just tell them exactly what it is that you are able to help them with, and they will be very appreciative of that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, Chaplain Smith, again, thank you so very much. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Well, we'll let Chaplain Murdoch have the final gap, unless you have one final word for yourself, sir. Please.
More thing, if I may, thank you.
Please.
Let's all just remember COVID is still going, right? So at any point in time, if schools shut stuff down, then, there's part of the reason I didn't travel as much this last year is I wasn't allowed on campus, right? So we have to keep that aware as we're going forward as well, that due to COVID, they can say, hey, we can't, you can't. So just be prepared for that as well. Semper Gumby all the way. Thank you. Sorry, that was my last one.
No, important, very important point. And as always, Chaplain Murdoch, you have the final word, sir.
Thank you. As I take time to think about this, I am just excited that you're interested in reaching out to college students, ROTC students, expanding your ministry opportunities. Again, I would encourage you to make those spiritual deposits into your spiritual bank account so that as you're called upon, you have some arena for withdrawals. We need to have ourselves ready to serve. And I am thankful that you are wanting to prepare. So keep yourself prepared academically and keep yourself prepared spiritually from your faith traditions so that when we're called upon, we are able to not only academically respond, but spiritually respond and minister to the needs of those that we will be impacting as we come into their lives. I want to thank Chaplain Smith and Colonel Bennett for allowing us the privilege of working with them. I also want to thank them for their time tonight and reaching out and being with us. This has been an exceptionally informative session, and I very much appreciate all that each of you have done. I also want to thank Chaplain Miner for all the behind the scenes work that he has done as my exec in helping to get this program and others off the idea platform into let's make this happen platform and getting things done. He's done a lot in helping make this a reality, and I publicly want to thank him as well. So ladies and gentlemen, as we reach forward into our ministries, I encourage you to set time aside for our national conference and all the training that we're going to be getting there at the end of the week. I also encourage you to bathe this ministry in prayer and go forth and be successful in intersecting lives with truth at points of greatest need with the ROTC opportunities that come our way. Thank you, each and every one. Chaplain Miner, back to you.